Hi there and welcome to the Stamping Society September tutorial, where this month we are focusing on seasonal projects. So all things about the different seasons. So this month I chose to focus on my favourite season. Now here in Australia, the 1st of September actually indicates that we're going into spring. But my favourite season is actually autumn, so I couldn't help myself but do an autumn project. So there is something about the colours of autumn that just get me going. I love the colours, I love the changing leaves, I love everything about autumn. So I decided to have a play with this bundle. So it is this one here, with the Fond of Autumn stamp set and the Autumn Bouquet dies from the mini catalogue. And it's just beautiful. I love the fonts. I love the beautiful big bouquet here. I love the banner. And the cool thing about the bouquet in this bundle is you can actually cut the bouquet as a whole piece, or you can use this die here and cut it out in sections. So I'm pretty sure this one lines up somehow in this way, I think. It's not to size on here, but it lines up and cuts it in sections, so you can cut just parts of it, which is really cool. And then you can also cut a detailed die here, which will cut, it doesn't cut the edges, but it cuts a detailed image as well. So you could cut that and then cut around it, which is really cool. So really cool bundle. So I'm going to use that today and feature a lot of watercolouring. So I may have to speed up parts of the video because I'm sure you don't want to watch this for 2 hours. But I've used the Fluid 100 paper to do some watercolouring. So I will show you that as well. And I have broken out a colour that I don't use often, and that is very vanilla. So I'm going to break that out of hiding. So let's get started. So before I do start though, if you want to purchase the tutorial for this video, you can do so in the link below. So all the Stampin Society members will have the videos on their YouTube channels, which you can find below. If you want to purchase the PDF tutorial, which will have all the written instructions, further photos, and all of the measurements and detailed instructions, you can do by purchasing using one of our links to our stores, or you can place an order with any of us in our respective countries. So I'm in Australia. If you place an order with me for $35 or more in my store, you will get the tutorial with all 6 tutorials for free. Or if you are a member of my team, so if you decide to join my team, you always get my tutorials for free. So all of those details are in the video description below. So I won't talk about measurements because they're all in the PDF if you choose to purchase that, but these are the general supplies that I'm going to be using. So I just have one sheet of Fluid 100 web paper, which is the watercolour paper that we sell at Stampin' Up. And I love this watercolour paper because it's nice and thick and it's really good quality. I have a standard top folding card base from Thick Very Vanilla, and I have 2 layers of Very Vanilla. So one is slightly smaller and there is a larger one. That's for the inside of my card. And then I've cut 2 strips of the brushed metallic cardstock, and this is the darker coloured. So I think, don't mind my cut up piece, but there's 3 different colours in here. So there's the 3 colours. This is the dark coppery looking bronze one, and that's the colour I've used. So I've got 2 strips of that, and I just wanted a thicker one and a thinner one. Sorry, I've got the hiccups. And then I have 2 layers which are exactly the same size as the ones on the inside for my outside, and then I've got a scrap of crumb cake, and I've also pulled in a piece which is just has to be the same width or more to cut some of these strips for the outside. So I've got a scrap of that which just needs to be wider than this outside layer, which I'll cut in a moment. So to start off with, I'm going to do my watercolouring. So I want my piece of Fluid 100 paper, and because I'm working with a larger stamp, so I'm pulling in this big bouquet here, I'm actually going to use my Stamparatus. So because I want to make sure this is inked nicely, I'm actually going to pull in the Stamparatus, because in case I want to make sure it's got nice coverage basically. So I'm just going to prep that up with my embossing buddy, and then I'm just going to bring in my Versamark, and basically I'm just going to make sure that's right into those top corners there, and I'm going to really nicely ink that with my Versamark. I wouldn't necessarily do this if it was a smaller stamp, but because I know that this is a larger stamp, and also Fluid 100 paper is very porous. It's quite a thick paper. It's very bumpy. So you really want to make sure that you stamp down really well onto this paper. So I'm going to lift that up, and I know, because you can't see the stamped image very well, but I just know that I'm going to stamp it again, because I really want to make sure that that Versamark is really well stamped onto that Fluid 100. So I'm going to give that a really good stamp onto there. So give it a nice good press down, and we can take that off our Stamparatus and move that out of the way. And then I'm going to bring in my copper embossing powder. Copper embossing powder looks really great with the autumn colours. I'm just going to pour that over my image. I'm just going to work in sections because we're working with the larger image. Oops. You may have to go over it a few times. And I'm pretty happy with that. And now I do actually want to stamp a couple of these little leaves. And because they're only small, actually I think I've actually already got it mounted up. I think I'm just going to give it a go at just stamping those straight onto this piece. I'm just going to make sure I give it a good moment to press down. And I might just pour the embossing powder straight away. And I want about 4 of those. The embossing tray would be really good. I'm just being lazy. I might just quickly do the last 2. Okay. Okie dokie. So I'll cover up my embossing powder and just cover up my ink pad quickly. And then I'm just going to heat up my heat tool. And it probably won't reach into the video, so I'll just bring that in for you to quickly look at. Okay, now I've got my heat embossed piece in. I am ready to do some watercolour. So the reason partly also I heat emboss is, one, because I like the copper, but also because it can help with watercolouring if you're a bit of a klutz like me or not very good at keeping in the lines, because that heat embossed edge will help contain the water in the lines. If you get a lot of water, it will still go out, but generally it can help. So I've got a bit of paper towel and my smallest nibbed water painter, so I'm just giving that a bit of a clean. And I'm going to get started. I have so many colours out, so I can try and bring them in screen. So you can do this with whatever colours you like, but I have a big palette to work from here in lots of different reds, oranges, yellows, a bit of green, browns, lots of different things here. So I'm just going to pull those off to the side, and I'll get started explaining a few of the bits and bobs, and then I may speed up parts of the video. So I have got some acrylic blocks here, and this is how I find it easiest to do this kind of watercolouring. So I'm actually going to start with some Parakeet Party. So I'm going to open that up and just smush a bit of this onto a block. I'm actually going to probably do the whole block because I know that I'm using a bit of Parakeet Party on this card. And then I think I'm going to do some crushed curry as well for my leaves. So I'm just going to add a little bit of crushed curry on there and a little bit of pumpkin pie as well, and maybe a little bit of Daffodil Delight. So I'll pull in another block as well. So that's my palette to work from. So now what I'm going to do for these leaves is go ahead and add my colour. So I'm sorry, not my colour, it's just some water. And then I'm going to add some water, just a little bit, to the block to get some Parakeet Party onto my leaf first. Now, you could let these dry in between if you want a stronger colour, and not have them blend so much. But I'm just going to go ahead and just let them blend into each other. So I'm going to go and add some crushed curry, and then maybe just a touch of the Daffodil Delight, and then I want some pumpkin pie. Now with the darker colours I'm going to add a little bit less. Now that one's quite bold, and then I might add a touch of the Poppy Parade in just a second. I think I added a bit too much of the pumpkin pie, but that's okay. Nature's not perfect. So then I'm going to go in and just start on my next leaf. So I'll go and add in the Parakeet Party. And then I'll add some Daffodil Delight in a few places. A little bit of crushed curry. Then a tiny bit of the pumpkin pie. So a bit like that. So what I'll show these ones, just these little leaves here. I'm going to do those by adding a little bit of Parakeet Party. And then I'm going to add in some crushed curry just along the edge there. And then a tiny bit of pumpkin pie just up at the very base like that. So what I might do is do all my leaves and speed up the video just to make it a bit quicker. Okay, so that's all the leaves done. So I've done them in the whole variety of the greens and the oranges and whatever. Now I'm going to go ahead and do all these little berries. So I'm just going to do them in some of the crushed curry. So I'm just going to add that on. I think that's all of them. And then I just want to add a little bit of Poppy Parade to each of them. Just along one edge. Like that. Now our flowers, for the centers of the flowers, I'm actually just going to wet them first, and I want to just really concentrate on that basically just being in the yellow, and I might add a touch of the pumpkin pie just to one side of it, like that. And then I might do the flowers in, I'll just wet the petals first. Might do them in some Daffodil Delight to start off with. Just a light coverage of the daffodil. And then I want some Calypso Coral. I'm just going to bring in that colour and just add that to my flowers like that. So just repeat that to my other flowers. So we've got our Daffodil Delight, and then we'll go in with the Calypso Coral and let that bleed out a little bit. Like that. And then to the very, go back in and add a little bit of Poppy Parade just for a darker touch around the centers. Like that. I love watercolouring, so much fun. Right, I'm going to just shut up some ink pads. I've got ink pads happening everywhere here. And I might clean up some of these little blocks. They make super easy palettes when you're watercolouring. Only need 2 more. Just going to do some crumb cake and some soft suede to do my little acorns. So I want to start with some crumb cake. up the top here. Still got crumb cake on my brush. I'm just going to add the soft suede in there. And I might just add a little bit of soft suede just to the edges of my little acorns. And that's all the watercolouring done. Wasn't that fun? So I can just clean up those last couple blocks and get those out of the way. I'm going to move my big pile of ink pads. Now, before I die cut this, I'm just going to let it dry for a few moments because that will still be a touch wet. So in the meantime, I'm going to bring in this little piece of crumb cake, and I'm going to bring in my stamp set because I want this little banner image. And I'm going to stamp my little banner image in, oh, stuck to the bench, in some early espresso. And then I want to do the happy thoughts of you, and I need the same block, so I'm going to clean up my stamp just quickly. And I'm going to stamp that into that little banner. Is it that way or is it this way? Which way is it? I think it's this way. So I just want to stamp that in there like that. So that is that piece, and I can set that to the side because we'll die cut that with our piece there. Now the next piece we can prep while we're giving that a minute to dry is our small piece here. So we want to take our small layer and we're actually going to add some blendings. We want to take our crumb cake ink pad, so just some crumb cake and a blending brush, and we're just going to add some blending to our whole piece on the corners and edges. Okay, so I'm happy with that. And then I'm actually also going to take my Early Espresso Stampin' Wrap marker. I'm going to take the thick end and just using the cap, I'm going to spritz some of the marker across my card, just like that. Now, the next piece we can do while we're giving that a minute to dry is our strips. So I'm going to bring in my trimmer and I want to cut, I think I've got 5 strips on the original card, and I want to cut them in varying lengths, or thicknesses, sorry. So I'm going to cut some that are literally like 1/4 of an inch, which is approximately just about 1/2 centimetre in width, and then some are going to be about, I'll do one that is, I'm trying to do it in metric and imperial, which is not my forte. What's this? 1, 2, 3/8 of an inch, which is about 1 centimetre. Testing my skills in measurements here. And then I'm going to do one that's 1/2 inch, which is half an inch, which is about 1.2 centimeters, and then I might do the other two. I'll do this one at 1.5 of a centimeter, which is 1/8 of an inch. I might do two at that size. So there we go. That's our 5 strips. And then I am just going to adhere. They're going to be the width of the card. I just kept them that length just because that was the size of my scrap. So I'm just going to stick those down, and I'll trim the edges in a moment. And I'm just spacing them apart, so I'm leaving a gap between each. So I might do it like that. Either do more that way. One there. Yeah, I think I'll do that. So one up there. And one down here. Like that. Okay, then I'll take a pair of scissors and I'm just going to trim my overhang off. And then I can adhere this to my larger layer. So this is the mat that's going to go on. Like that. Okay, so how about we do the die cutting? I reckon it's dry enough. So I'll bring in my pieces here. So I'm just going to need this large outside edge. And I'll line that one up, and I'm going to need my little leaf image. Okay. Okay, that's all the die cutting done. So now we can get to assembling our card. So first of all, I'm going to stick our large watercolored piece to our card on some Stampin' dimensionals. So just going to adhere a few of those to the back side of this piece here. I need some longer nails. Okay, so just going to adhere that one a little bit off the card, just about there. And then our sentiment is going to adhere over the top of the acorns, but I want some on top of the banner and some coming off here. But I'm actually going to double, so I'm going to add a dimensional about there, but I'm going to double stack it because I want that one to be a bit higher. And then this side is going to only need one dimensional because it's already going to be sitting on top of something that has dimensionals. So if that makes sense, because this side has no dimensionals. So once I sit that on, actually I might put that up a little bit higher, like that. So that way it'll be the same height. So I've got all of that stuck on there. Now I can stick this to my card base now, and I'm just going to adhere that with some liquid glue. So I don't really need any more dimension on this card. I've got ink all over my table. Funny that. Okay, so I've got that adhered. Now with these extra leaves, I'm actually going to just choose a few places. I thought I'd adhere them on my card. And with those, I'm just going to add a little bit of liquid glue and adhere those on to the card. So just stick those on. Like that. Okie dokie. And then I've got some Winker Stella, which I would not be able to finish a card without putting it on there, I don't think. And then I'm going to add some pretty embellishments. So I have got these beautiful embellishments. I love these ones. These are the seasonal backed adhesive sequins, and I want the gold. So I'm going to find on the mess I've created on my desk. I've got some beautiful gold sequins that I want to adhere in here. So I'm going to add 3 down the bottom and just a couple up the top here. Might even sneak another one in. And then I want to add some of these beautiful brushed brass butterflies. So lots of gold on this card, but why not? So I'm going to add one of the bigger brass butterflies and then 2 of these pretty small butterflies here. So how cute is that? That is the outside of the card done. Now let's make a quick and pretty inside for our card. So to do that, I'm just going to bring back in the paper and I'm going to take the smaller piece and my blending brush again, and I'm going to grab some crumb cake ink, and like I did to the outside, I'm just going to add a quick layer of crumb cake blending. To my outside. And then I'm going to take some crushed curry ink and this beautiful little flower stamp from the stamp set. And I'm just going to stamp that twice in the bottom right and once in the top left. And then I have 2 more strips to go onto my card from the same foil cardstock. And you can do these whatever width you like. I think this one looks like about 1 centimetre. So what did I say that was? 1/2 inch or something. And this one's about, I don't know, 1/2 centimetre. So was that 1/8? And I'm just spreading those ones apart a little bit. And I'm going to stamp, I'm going to spritz a little bit of Early Espresso ink pad, just Stampin' Right marker. And I'll do a little bit of Winker Stella on the inside. And then I'm going to stamp a little sentiment that says, just a note, and I got a little bit of ink over there, but that's a bit annoying, but that's all right. And that one is going to get adhered. I've got ink on my finger somewhere. Don't you hate that when you know you're getting ink smudges, but you don't know where it is on your finger? I'm just going to adhere that to that layer of vanilla. Add a little bit more adhesive and stick that one to the inside of the card. And that is the fun card done. I love autumn. I don't know about you. You'll have to tell me in the comments what your favourite season is. I love seasonal cards, especially autumn. Autumn and spring are probably my favourites. Summer and winter, yeah, but definitely those two seasons are my fave. So thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out the link to the tutorial below, and I have linked all the products I have used in the description bar below. So thanks for watching for another month of Stamping Society. I've also linked to the blog post where you can check out all the detailed pictures and more info about this month's project. So love having you check out all my work. Be sure to like my video and subscribe if you don't want to miss out on any more videos. And as always, thanks, and I'll see you guys back in October. Bye.